Yes.
Yes.
All right, Scott, are you ready? You're muted.
We're always ready.
You're always ready. All right, cool.
Stay ready so you have to get ready.
That's right. Thanks everyone for joining us. It's actually our first Coffee with a Mega that is not somebody from our local chapter or region at all. So that we've got Scott and Jev here, and they're both with the Malouff International Group. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But why don't you guys tell us a little bit about you and how you got into real estate?
Want to hit it with Scott? I'll let him roll first and I'll.
So my name is Scott Malouff. Been in the business now. This is year number 6. I started as an individual agent. First year in the business, I had sold 85 units. Then we started the team year 2, brought on Victoria, who's our director of operations, and Jev, who was a buyer specialist at that time, now a lead agent on our team. And we ended up growing the team within the last 5 years. And then this year we'll close a little bit over 550 transactions, year 5 in the business. Before real estate, I was in the event planning space, as well as I had a kiosk business in the malls. So I had 2 different businesses there. The event planning was not, I didn't look at it more as a career. So I felt that we needed a transition. So I made a transition, and from there we built the team that we have today.
Awesome. You said 85 your first year. How the heck did you manage that?
I had a transaction coordinator, and it was straight hustle. So.
There you go. Nice. How about you, Jevy?
A little bit of myself, my background. So I grew up in Florida, transitioned. My father was prior military. Shout out to all the veterans that may or may not be on here. I myself served 9 years active duty Air Force. I went to Randolph High School here and graduated. I actually went to UTSA. So Roadrunners, I think the number 15 in the top hole, which is great. 9-year program in the making. I've known Scott for years and years. I'd say it probably goes back to early high school, as you meant the event planning and stuff like that. I met him it was a nightclub. So we got together, and like you mentioned, the hustle actually came from those roots, getting people into the club, inviting people. It's just like how he says, like now it's just door knocking instead of passing out these little flyers. Now we're out there knocking on doors and calling people for home ownership. I like to say I help friends and family reach the American dream 1 home at a time. So that's my little slogan, trademark pending. I've been just last month, October was 5 years since I've graduated from Ignite. And it's just been a journey.
Awesome. And how many are on your team now?
My specific team or the entire team?
Yeah, the entire team.
I would say we have. Go ahead, sir.
We have 41 people on the team. We have 4 virtual direct transaction coordinators. So we use Cyberbacker on the admin side, and then we have 1 in-house director of operations. We have a director of ISA, so we have an ISA team that we're building up as well. And then we have a full-time videographer and a full-time photographer.
Awesome.
As you met Spree right there. I always like tagging him and stuff, like Spreezy with the heat, boy.
Awesome. All right. Well, Scott, why don't you start with telling us how you built your business and what are your main sources? And maybe that's changed from the beginning until now. If you kind of go through both, how did you start and what sources of business then? And then what does that look like now for you?
So in the beginning, I felt that because I had a good sphere, that I thought that it was just going to turn over and everyone was going to say, you know what, I knew Scott since back here, like he's in real estate now, I'm going to use him. Yet that's not what happened in the beginning. It took time for me to rebrand myself. So in the beginning, I was really big on door knocking, cold calling, and for sale by owners and expireds. And I was really big into training. So I took Bold 4 times my first year, and I was also in coaching. So I was very learning based. I went to family reunion, I went to mega camp. I never missed those. Even to this day, I still don't miss those. So just being very intentional about, continuing to learn the models that KW had. And from door knocking, there's an area where we live called the Pearl area. So that was the area that I first started door knocking. And over there, the homes, they need to be knocked down. Yeah, we just had one of the top 10 hotels in the country that just was opening there. So people didn't know the true value of their house. So from there, I was door knocking and kind of showing them what was going on in the area. They were able to get $200,000 for the home, when 5 years ago, their home was $60,000. So them seeing the value of the equity they had in their house, because their house had been in their family 30 plus years. And a lot of those families were living check to check. So what that first year I was able to do was, at first I got a referral from an agent that's now on the team. She was living in Killeen.
Janet Favela, she's also on KDYP. Holla.
Yeah. So she referred me that first one, Janet did. And then that lady needed to buy. Yet she became a Radiant fan because she was living check to check. And we were able to get a house down the street, not too far, like 5 miles down the road, for $100,000. Yet she was putting $80,000 in her bank, and she literally had no money. So that was life changing for her. Yet her testimony through that whole block became house after house. So I ended up selling 7 houses on that same street my first year, and all 7 of those needed to buy. So that became 14 transactions, and then just continued to farm and door knock that area. And then for sell by owners and expires is something I've always been focused on. And then year 2, Victoria, who was my assistant back then, she just got out of high school, 18 years old at that time. And she was my coach's daughter. So he was like, you should talk to her, see if you like her. He told me not to hire her after that. Yet she ended up coming on, and she hands down, I think she's one of the best, if not the best, in the company when it comes to the operations side, because she's able to handle everything. Only operations person we have in-house, and able to handle 500 transactions by herself. So she came on, then Jevs came on. We did 161 transactions. Year 3, we grew the team. Janet came on. Started getting listing specialists, buyer specialists, did 238 transactions. Year 4, we grew it to 410 transactions. Last year, 432. And then this year we do 410.
That's awesome.
This year we'll do over 500, or around 550 this one.
And is that mostly referral based?
So when an agent comes on our team, it's prospecting based, marketing and enhanced, and then we move them into marketing and enhanced, database driven. So we focus on the data bank. Now we've transitioned more into doing client parties. Like we have our annual client appreciation party coming up in December. We have an R&B group called 112. It's on Peaches and Cream. They're coming to perform for our clients. So we'll have around 2,000 people there. We're doing casino night, giving away a trip to Vegas. So we'll have about 2,000 people at our client appreciation party. Yeah, we also, the way our team is built is building a team inside of the team. So we have different tiers, and once an agent reaches a certain tier, then they have the opportunity to start building their team inside of the team. Mm-hmm. And with that, we during the year, quarterly, we have them do smaller client appreciation parties. If it's at a restaurant, or if they're doing at Top Golf, or certain things that they'll do throughout the year that leads up to the big one that we do every year. And then we're also big on giving back with the community. We did a backpack giveaway. And then we have something coming up for Christmas too.
Awesome. And Jevy, do you have your own team within the team?
Yes, ma'am. So I have 4 agents currently right now, and then I plan to build that with another 4 agents next year, 2 before the middle of next year, and then another one third quarter, and another one fourth quarter. So that way I can help leverage out some of the clients that are coming, because so I have mine that I shared, and 37.5% of mine comes from sphere of influence and contacts. 25% comes from realtor referrals. So thank you, everybody. Again, KDYP, that definitely contributes to all of that. 25% is from past clients, and then another 12.5% is from past client referrals. So as he mentioned, it's all prospect based, keeping in contact with those that I served in the military with and their connections with that. And really just comes down to the relationships. We have not as a team dove into paying for leads because it's all a hustle game. And like I mentioned, we're out there knocking, we're calling, we're keeping up with our data bank. And it's just, that's how the relationships grow. And going through MAPS coaching with LL, she really helped me solidify what I'm looking for as my perfect client, my avatar. And then now I'm with Krista Matheson's great coach as well too. She's really helping me focus and making sure that I'm going from E to P, from entrepreneur to an actual business owner. So looking at it like that and bringing down the numbers, it's just really blowing my mind that I haven't been looking at it in that light. And now that I am, I'm very purposeful with my time and my schedule and everything, that when I get up from the morning at 5:37 to pray gratitude, to know the whole morning routine sets you up for success throughout the whole day. And Jeff Glover taught when we went to Glover U, said that if it's in your schedule and if you can't duplicate it every day, then it shouldn't be in your schedule. And I have it set Monday through Friday from 5:45 until I get to the office here by 8:30 in the morning, and which is a standard for us. It's really been super successful, and I feel and I know, and in my heart, it's just where I want to be, and it's just the growth is fantastic. I love MAPS coaching. So anyone that's not in MAPS coaching, highly suggest.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah. And if anybody has questions, feel free to either ask it in the chat or get on video and ask. We are ready for your questions. So our next question will be, what is the biggest mistake you've made in your career, and what did you learn from it?
My biggest downfall, and I can maybe relate to it a little bit as well too, is just keeping up with past clients and feeding into my sphere of influence. Instead of going out there, reaching out to new people, I should already be heavily involved in loving on the people and touching on the people that are in my sphere and that trust me and love me and already want to do business with me, already want to be in business together and help grow, because as they grow, I grow as well too. And then everybody grows and everybody becomes wealthy in real estate. So my thing is just, my personal is reaching out and keeping in direct contact. Because so when I first started the industry, interview with Scott and Victoria, I was an IC on the disc profile. A year later, I turned into a DI because the top 5 people I was hanging out with, Scott Malouff, was Victoria Collins, Steve Collins, our productivity coach, Craig Owen, and some other agents that were in there. And of course, my disc evolved into a DI, and that I comes out. And a lot of times, I don't know if it was the military in me or just kind of growing up with my mom, how I am. It's just, I can be a very high C, very like OCD at a lot of times too. So it's directing that focus and putting it into a purposeful meaning rather than just kind of being all over the place. Because the I and C and then the D is kind of all over the place. With that schedule, I'm more focused, I'm more direct, and I'm more purposeful with everything that that comes to me.
Amazing. Awesome.
Mine in the beginning was still, well, it transitioned about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, was looking at the P&Ls daily for profit and loss. And it's when I got, Jeff shouted out MAPS coach, I shout out my Jordan Freed has been my MAPS coach for about 2.5 years. And Jordan, when I first got with him, he made me give him my bank statements for the last 2 years. And he looked at everything I was spending. He was like, why do you spend so much? Like, even for like Bold, I would send like 10 people to Bold through our market center. And I would just give, which I'm not saying it's bad to give yet. He said, the best way to help the poor is not to become poor. And if you continue to give the way you're giving, you're not going to be able to help people on a larger scale. So what we had to do was start looking at, okay, what can I afford to give every month? And then what am I going to have to use for us to be able to build this business that we're building? So I continue to I hired what's called Tax In-House, and Tax In-House, they send me a P&L every month, and they let me know they have the KW chart of accounts. They know exactly how to do it, and they break it down every month for me. So I'm able to know, okay, this month I know that I can give $6,000 compared to what as far as savings to be able to build what we're building, because we have certain businesses we're starting inside of the business. So I know how much we need to save to be able to start those as well. And then knowing your numbers, knowing them. We had Tony DeCello come teach at our business planning clinic 2 weeks ago. He said, we've always do the 15th protocol, and the 15th of the month, we always, figure out if we need to go add more to our schedule or take off more to our schedule, or take off some for the next 2 weeks. So he said, start doing the 1 minute protocol. So the first minute that you're behind for the month, you need to pivot and see what you need to be adding to your schedule. So that's something that we do. And we do use CTE, so I can track we can track everybody's number on the team. It's commitment to excellence, and that dashboard, looking at it daily, knowing the health of the team as well, helps us.
Awesome. Yeah, Becca and I were talking the other day about how we love to avoid looking at our P&Ls. So it's important, but it's not fun. I guess it becomes a habit. That's awesome. Anybody have any questions? Nobody? Okay. All right. Well, what keeps you motivated day to day? And do you ever have those days where you just don't feel like working?
What motivates me is our team. So your why can shift as you grow. And, I've gone through certain things in my life where my why have shifted. When I first started, my mom was a single mom. She's the one who raised me growing up. So when I turned, after my rookie year, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take my mom on a trip with my grandparents. We're going to go. I'm Lebanese. So there was a Lebanese convention in New Orleans. And I told her, so we're going to go to this Lebanese thing in July. So her and my grandma went the day before me and my grandfather. And when she got there, she called me, hey, Scott, can you go get your bathing suit? Can you get my bathing suit? I said, okay, I'll go ahead and pick it up for you. But then I get a call 30 minutes later from my grandma. She said, Mama's not breathing. And she passed away from a blood clot at 51, like that. So from there, I was like, damn, my why just shifted. I didn't know that at that moment. Yet over that next year, I was figuring myself out more. So I was like, you know what? I'll be there more for my grandparents. I'm gonna be there daily. That's a non-negotiable. Have dinner with them every day. That as long as I'm in town, that's what I do. And it's in the schedule. And then 4 years, this last July, my grandfather passed away the same exact day, almost the same exact time that she passed away. So I think that God speaks to you and he's like, you know what, you're good. But I also learned that a legacy is not what people leave for you, it's what they leave in you. And the legacy that people leave in you continues to push you to be your better self. Yet knowing how they were very big on giving, not only with money, but they were big on giving in time as well as with people. And they would pour into people. There was never a stranger with them, and they would always invite people to come over and eat or come do certain things. So now that's one thing that I'm passionate about, is when I meet somebody, figuring out what their gift is, how can we help them shine to be able to live a bigger life than they're even thinking, getting limited beliefs out of their head, and then getting them to action a lot faster.
Wow, awesome. What about you, Jevy?
Same as Scott mentioned, your why does shift and change. Right now is my wife Maya and I are talking about expanding the family. So instead of, like how Scott mentioned, a lot of times it starts with I, and then it becomes we, and then it's they. So when I look at it that way, it's okay, am I putting savings away? Am I doing this for the money? What is the money going to do? Because Gary Keller says money is only good for the good it can do. Knowing that we're expanding the family, I have to redirect my focus, and my goal is to, of course, help provide for another individual, another life. So that's how my life is shifting and changing. And it's really giving back to my military background. My father is part of military, all my uncles, my boys right here that are just right there, just rocking and rolling here at the office. That before anyone's even here, the lights down the hallways are off right now. We're in here hustling, grinding. And it's just like he mentioned as well, too, giving back to our team. I'm okay with stepping back from my production in order to take leaps and bounds forward to help others be successful. And that's been my passion. I've always had a passion for fashion, which I implemented. So going back to getting into real estate. So my girlfriend at the time, now wife, was into Bravo. She still is actually. And we watched $1 Million Listing. And I said, hey, they're all dressed up nice and they're selling real estate and doing this and they seem like they're having fun. I was like, I have suits. I like to dress up. At the time, I was like, I don't mind to get dressed up and get paid for it. So I literally called Scott. I was like, hey, man, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, we're eating sushi. Next week, I'm in classes that he did help contribute to pay for because it was an investment. A month later, I'm licensed. Next thing you know, Keller Williams Heritage is my home and I'm Ignite. And now the great thing about that is now we teach classes to Ignite. One of our other members, Josue Martin, which I really love, he's actually teaching Elevate to your mega open house. He's teaching 9 to 11 to our Ignite students. And it's just been an evolving circle and world. And it's just everybody that comes into our lives, we feed into and we pour into as they're going to pour into us. And I love teaching is a passion to help others be successful. And I always tell everybody when we're in there, is like a year from now, the goal is for you to be able to teach this class. That way we can just all leverage it out and you learn and grow from it. And also going out with the newer members that are, say, on my direct team and the newer agents, going out there and door knocking with them and seeing them hustle and grind and be so hyped up to go and do this and that. And it helps me remember my basics and fundamentals and the foundation of what built me into who the agent I am today. So the younger agents, they keep me on my toes and they got a lot of energy. So I feed off of them. We feed into each other. And Scott calls me the CEO, the chief energy officer. And I mean, that's all, it's all about family. Keller Williams values God Family Business the same way that we do our team is God Family Business. We actually have an ALC within our team. And it's just really, it's a whole different mindset when you have an organization and a group of young, inspired individuals that are all focusing on the big goal and the big vision.
Awesome. Yeah. And by the way, sorry, go ahead.
The teaching part is big because the best way to master something is to teach it. And that's one thing that we're focused on, especially as we continue to build leaders in our organization. Gary talks about it too. The best way to, true leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. And if we can create more leaders in our organization, the more we're going to attract talent that's going to continue to help us level to where we're growing.
That's amazing.
Big shout out to Priscilla Mendoza. I see you, girl, holding it down. She's hot. She's hot. And then we got Julie right there, KWYP River City's president. What up, Julie?
Hello.
I'm curious, what does like the next 5 years look like for y'all, for the team? And
so we have what's called Path to Leadership is one thing that we have. We also have businesses inside of the business. So businesses that we're starting, we did a joint venture with the credit repair business. So we have that already implemented in our team. We have a media team that we offer to other businesses where we do business to business referrals. Yeah, we offer media packages that agents get a profit. So when you're at a certain tier, you get profit share from these companies that we have. Mortgage company, we're shopping around right now to do a joint venture with the mortgage company. And then title company, we already have a partnership with the title company that we're looking to actually scale that up to. And all those, we have other businesses too. With all those businesses, our goal is to be able to have a profit share model for the team so they can continue to get paid through these businesses while still being part of the team at a certain tier. In the next 3 years, because we were doing 5-year goals. Yeah, we shifted it to 3 because there is a lot of pivoting things going on. Our 3-year goal is to do 3,500 transactions in San Antonio, which will put us at 4% market share in the city. So that's our 3-year goal. And then we also have what's called Path to Leadership. And Path to Leadership is for ages 12 through 20. And it's figuring out leadership for teens and at a younger age, figuring out what they're passionate about and putting them into a place where they can have a safe haven on the weekends and also be able to connect them with something that they see themselves at in a later life. So, and at that place, we're going to have like a gaming center where they can have Xbox tournaments on the weekend, basketball court. Yeah, we'll come in and bring either, different people that are role models in those professions to be able to talk to the kids.
Oh, that's amazing. Priscilla, do you have a question? Let me unmute you. Yeah.
Yes, I do. So one of the biggest things I love about Scott is just how well he does time management. not just from his leadership standpoint and how he is available to his whole entire team at all times, but also like on his family, with his family as a father and his grandparents. So Scott, I guess like the biggest question would be like, what is the best advice you can give for time management for somebody that is trying to get to the level that you're at now with everything across the board? What's the best advice that you could give?
Being very purposeful about your time. It's that saying, I say this a lot, but and postponement can be permanent. And the more you postpone things, you never know if it's going to be a permanent postponement. Yet if you look at ROI to ROE, return on investment to return on energy, is your time best being spent in the moment that you're living in? Because if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to be with my family between these hours, and you have, let's say with our team, we have 40 other people that we're responsible for on a daily basis that we continue to pour into. It's being purposeful when you're here, and then it's taking that hat off and putting the hat on at home and saying, now I'm purposeful here, and disconnecting and then going back, after that, getting back into the work and the grind. When it comes to text messages and emails, those are somebody else's agenda. So when somebody else emails me in the morning, and it goes back to Gary's one thing, until your one thing is done, everything else is a distraction. When somebody else is emailing me or anybody on our team, that's their agenda for the day. That's their agenda for the morning. So I know my agenda when I wake up, and until I finish that, then I can go into my emails and my text messages. Now you will get a couple people that start to give a little hate mail or certain things because you might have not got back to them as fast as they chose. Yet you got to focus on you, and then from there you can focus on them.
Love that. Are you in production now, Scott?
Love it. Thank
I'm still on the list. I still do listings. So on an average month, I still average around 15 listings that I'll go on that will list. Yet I do have an agent on the team that I put on that listing with myself to be able to help on the service side, because customer service is very important. And the way we've been pulled right now, I have to be able to have somebody else on.
Gotcha. And do you know your disc profile?
Yeah, yes. It's a DS. Yeah, my S is a little bit higher than my D. And then I have my C higher a little bit lower.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Victoria's our high C on our team. So she's our director of operations. She's a DC.
Nice.
Shuts it down.
Kate, I just think you when you're actually even going off of Priscilla and how everything is, it's really just going off your schedule. So as I mentioned, starting in the morning, 5:45, sorry, it might be mirrored. However, it's in the schedule for everything. And if you live by a schedule and just look at it periodically, and I even have the lunch in there. So you can see it's like lunch. Oh, no, departure. So this part, lunch, focus, meditation. If lunch is in your schedule, as Mabs and Bold always, they say if it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. So I may not be able to eat lunch at the time. However, okay, well, so let's meditate a little bit. Let's refocus before we go in there. And you have to have that time block. And like Scott said, you have to set the expectations. And what we do in our bar consultations is the same thing. When we go in, and we always mention my schedule, my personal schedule, that Sundays are for prayer and gratitude. I'm in the office from 8:30 in the morning, and I work until 9 p.m. at night. And then because I appreciate your time, and I know that you want to be with your family as well as I respect the time with my family as well. So I sent you actually my Calendly link that Krista Matheson, again, my MAPS coach, made me invest in, so that way when people come and ask for certain things, I can send them my Calendly link. And if you look at the text that's on there, it explains to them respectfully, it says, thank you for interest in teaming up. As you do in real estate, I live by my schedule, and I love to honor your time with 100% focus and attention. Please select an opportunity window so we can get together and mastermind together. So that way you can help control the schedule. Just like Scott says, when people are texting and calling you or emailing you, that helps set the expectations. And again, going from E to P, rather than just say, okay, let's go sit down right now, that may take away from what I have in schedule, which could be phishing. And since I'm from Florida, I call phishing is my lead generation, because I don't want to keep looking at my schedule and it says lead generation, lead generation, lead generation. Or if there's something like Scott mentioned about going on trips, then I'll put Cancun and I'll put like a little beach thing and I'll put a little martini or a little margarita thing or something like that. That helps me because, as I mentioned, as you can probably already see, I am a high I, and that helps me stay engaged and focused on what I'm doing. It's like, okay, I can make 10 calls or 10 video texts. And then I look at it, it's like, oh, Cancun. I was like, all right, so I'm calling for Cancun. So now I know what I'm working for. And I put the data in there too. It's like, okay, Cancun in March, which is our team trip. And then I'm just like, okay, so I need to do X amount. So if they say, if you erase, you must replace. So I'm looking at it, okay, I'll be gone from this week. And same thing with family reunions already in schedule and already booked. If you guys already booked, you guys better book it right now. And it's in there. So I know that I'll be gone for that time duration. So I need to replace the time that's lost while I'm gone. That way I can help leverage it out, one, and to ensure that I'll be focused and have everything set in mind for that absence of time. Not working on the business as lead generation, however, working on the business when it comes to the masterminds and all of that.
That's awesome.
Kevin on here? Sorry.
I think he is.
He is.
Yes, they're right there at the bottom. Kevin K. There he is. I know you mentioned earlier and yesterday, and then again, I definitely want to touch base on that with the VAs. That's more of the operations and Scott Malouff question.
Yeah, I mean, can everybody hear me?
Yep, you're good.
So I'm in the process.
Can't hear you now.
Whoa.
We can't hear you.
Something happened.
You'll be able to mention stuff on the operations side, and then I can mention on the agent side and how it's implemented and how we use it to the best that it is there for us.
Yeah, so on the operations side, so we hired one cyberbacker in the beginning, and so Victoria made training videos for each cyberbacker, and it goes over the whole operation side. So she has her own kind of 30, 60, 90 that she created for them. And with that, now we have a lead cyberbacker that trains the other three. And so there's Kezia, then there's the three underneath Kezia, and they take care of all of our transaction side. So when it comes to like writing the contracts, nobody on our team writes their own contracts. They got to know the contract, understand the contract, yet that's completely leveraged. When it comes to the listing agreements, we just send an address. They'll email us the hard copy of the listing agreement. Yet if we need to send it to the client, they do that as well. MLS drafts and MLS, they'll do all of that, except for the description. On the agent is responsible for putting the description for the property. And then everything for CTE, they put everything in CTE for us, so we were able to track our numbers. They ask the agent, where's the lead source, so we know exactly where the lead sources are coming from. And then we chat with them through Slack. So each agent has their own Slack portal with the transaction coordinators that they're able to open each file. Each address has its own file, and then we're able to go from there. They do talk to title companies. So when it comes to title, HOA docs, everything on that end, they take care of that too, making sure surveys are ordered on time, making sure deadlines are done on time as well. So they'll reach out to title and to the agent to make sure we don't miss any deadlines. And that's kind of what we have them focused on right now. They don't talk to the client at all. So when the agent is still the client care coordinator, but when it comes to everything else, when it comes to the TCs, that's kind of what we're focused on with the cyberbackers.
Okay, can you hear me again now? All right.
Yes.
So, all right, sorry about that. Yeah, so with Slack itself, like that's one of the things where that's one of the tools I'm new to. So I'm fairly tech savvy. I downloaded it last night and started being like, oh, what do I do for the integrations and how, like, because I'm a very high C. So I was like, how complicated can I make a simple task of helping my VA stay on top of a transaction? Like that's what I got into last night when I was like, I'm going to go to bed and watch Mega Coffee in the morning and see what you guys have to say.
Yeah. So with Slack, it took a little bit of time because we transitioned into that about 6 months ago. And it took time for the agents to learn as well. Yet now it's very stream. I mean, once you get into it, it's very easy to use.
Cool.
So coming from the agent side, using it just to kind of go you down. So we have a little thing. It's just like a draft offer. So it goes with, again, you might have to see it. So it's like address, sales price, MLS number, just MLS number because I'm high C and like to help them out.
Yeah.
Type of option or type of loan, what they're going to put down as their down payment, the option dates, option period, earnest money, sincerity letter, of course. What else we have? Pre-approval letter. And I take that and I just send it over to transactions. I CC our director of operations. And then the next thing you know, I get a pop-up in Slack. They create a new little channel is what they call it. And then they're like, we'll do start working on that right now. Thank you. And then they'll draft it all up and then they'll create the offer. They'll send it over to our clients to review and sign. If they have any questions, of course, they'll reach out to me because as Scott mentioned, they don't talk to the transaction corners. So if they have any questions on that, I help them break down the structure of the offer. And then it just rocks and roll like that. Then they gather everything up as a package. They'll send it over to listing agent or buyer's agent, whichever part of the transaction is on. And then they just keep me up to date. And they're really good at following up because they'll like, hey, sir, we haven't got these documents. And it's like, okay, I'll follow up. And then like 2 days later, hey, sir, just checking in. Are these following? I was like, oh my gosh, like y'all should be in real estate because they're really hammering me too, which is great though, because it keeps me on my toes. And it's also a friendly reminder for me that these documents need to be signed or, sir, should we create this option period extension or this non-realty item addendum? How much is this going to be? And they're really detailed. And I love it because like I said, the leverage that Scott mentioned is that we can go out there and do the business and what we need to do, and then leverage the contracts and the offers and anything that comes in between the contract to close.
100%. Great.
I love that. I have a question around that though. So like so are these people like what are their hours? And like, so if you have an agent out on a Sunday afternoon needing to write an offer, are they available like weekends, nights?
We have them from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week.
Oh my gosh.
And one thing I mentioned it too is to the agents that there's no such thing as a real estate emergency. So don't be contacting them at any time past 10, 11, Sundays and different hours. Like titles closed, everyone's closed. It's prayer, family, everything on Sundays. So no such thing as a real estate emergency.
And then are they located in like the Philippines or
Philippines.
Side, hold it down. I'm part Filipino, so it's my people's.
I had a VA one time and I just had a very hard time like staying on top of her because they're 12 hours different and she wasn't really working my hours per se. So it was very hard for me to like manage her, I feel like.
Yeah, we've had VAs that didn't work out with different companies. I think it takes time on the back end, a lot of time on the training. Yeah, when you train them, you'll have the right talent. It's just like in-house talent. Like there's people that you could say, oh, I hired a listing specialist on your team. And you're like, well, they just didn't work out. Well, that doesn't mean every person you hire in that position is going to be the same way. You just have to say, okay, what did I learn from this? Because the word fail stands for first attempt I learned. So if that one didn't work, what did I learn from it? What do I need to implement next time to make this relationship better? And what systems am I missing to be able to find a who that's going to be able to help me level up? Because true talent will expose itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And
What would you
going
say?
back to LL, sorry, going back to, since you brought up the who, going back to LL's coaching, everything, she helped me focus on not what can we produce next year or what we want to produce. It's who is going to be in place to get us to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say part of my homework after coaching this week was talk to cyberbacker. So you've given me the second reason why.
The sign.
Yes.
I think that's one thing a lot of agents, like, I know I dealt with, I guess I can't speak for everyone, but like, kind of like you avoid getting more business because you don't want to work more because you feel like, you know, it's going to come back on you. And so what, you know, around leverage, I know y'all utilize cyberbacker, but like, as far as like newer agents that like are like about to hire their first assistant or like how do you encourage people to get to that next level?
Going over their why, seeing what their purpose is, thinking bigger for themselves sometimes than they think for themselves. So having those conversations on where they see themselves 5 years from now and how can we help them achieve that, going over the steps that's going to take to be able to fund that, and also the steps in production that's going to have to take to be able to get there. And then continuing to take limited beliefs out of their head. If they say, I can't do this because of this, or I can't do that because of that, why do you feel that way? Let's take that out of it. And then positive affirmations are big too, because there's a lot of negative talk with people, and getting rid of that negative talk helps. So when you're saying production, it's finding the right talent, because the right talent will make you work more. You'll work less.
And that's how I mentioned I'm okay stepping back to help bring up the other agents and directly under me. That way I can leverage my time out. So although I may step back from full on engaging with lead generation and production, I'm helping them to learn how to do it as well too. So instead of just one person doing the lead generation, it's 4 of us, 5 of us.
And then we're big on training for the team too. We started what's called MaloufU.com, and it has different training for different type of lead generation activities for our agents. So it has a video on how to, it has the scripts, and it has a step-by-step on how to do the activity. So if they're calling for sell by owners, or if they're going to do a mega open house, or if they want to figure out how to find people with the portfolio, we have different videos for each one of those, or how to do a listing presentation, or Jev did the buyer consultation. So we have different videos on everything to be able to help train them to ramp them up. We still run them through Ignite. We still put them through Bold. We're still big on 30, 60, 90. We still do the KPA before we bring them on. So it is a 5-step process before we even give them the offer to join the team. And we do put them through Brian Buffini's Peak Producer, as well as we do have group coaching for any agent that comes onto our team. And so it goes group coaching emerging, group coaching proven, and then tier 3 is MAPS. I'll go 50-50 with them on their MAPS coach. Tier 4, the organization fully pays for their MAPS coach.
God's humble. He's not telling exactly. He's very invested in his people. He cares about his people, and a lot of people are like, Jev, you do this and you do that. Why are you still on Scott's team? And it's basically, this loyalty. They're like, well, why not go to a different brokerage? And it's really about loyalty, and that's my dude. And I always tell him, I actually almost told him the other night, however, when people ask me, I kind of get a little teary-eyed. Don't even point in the neck in front of me. I don't want to let my boy down, because that's my dude.
Aww.
And there's only one way in and one way.
Yeah.
There's only one way in and one way out. So you don't want to.
I heard that.
That's awesome. Anybody have any questions? This is awesome information. All right, I'll continue down the list. How do you guys set yourself apart from other local agents in the area?
Culture.
Yeah.
Culture is big with our team. We're a very close-knit team. We're more like a family. We do a team trip every year too. So last year we went to Vail. This year we're going to Cancun. We do go to family reunion as a team. We do go to mega camp as a team. Our team is in the office a lot. So our OP just bought a new market center and a new building. So it's 50,000 square feet, and we have a 3,000 square feet inside of there. So, and there's also conference rooms that we use. So being in this office now has helped the morale also, because we were dark for about 8 months. Yet now, even from a production standpoint, looking at where we're going for the next 2 months, we have 108 pending transactions for the next 2 months, compared to we were averaging around 60 to 70. So even the production has gone up because everybody's in here and working together. And then everyone they want to see everybody succeed. So myself or Jev doesn't have to be in the room for somebody else to be in here and they were like, you good? Like, your energy's off. Like, what's going on today? Because we never look down on somebody unless we're helping them up. And our goal is to be able to help everybody up. And if something's happening in their day, There's no such thing as a bad day. They're just bad moments, and it's how you let a moment affect you on how your day is going to go. In life, we have defining moments, and with the defining moment, it's easy to become a victim instead of becoming victorious. And people focus on that victimhood, and it's shifting your mind to say, okay, how long are you going to continue to hold on to that? Let's shift that mind and go into a victorious mindset so we can get over that, so we can get more back to get focused on who you're supposed to be for your future self.
Another thing as well too is like he mentioned with the families. So there's multiple accountability groups that we have. Tomorrow we have a partnership with Cameron Davies Entertainment and Boxing, where we go out there and what we do is breakfast club. So last week there was 11 of us. This week there might be 15, 16 of us. And we're going to go out there and work out in the morning. So that's how we do. We really get together, not just in the business. We focus on a lot of things, and it all comes down to the wheel of life. And we focus on not just the business. We work on the health, the spiritual. There's groups of us that go to a church at 121 that will all just go and do prayer together. And even going on feeding after that, every time we go to lunch together as a team or just a couple of us, we always pray before the meal. It's really a lot more than real estate. So focusing on the health and finances and spiritual education, mental, and the business, of course, it's like I said, we're always focused on the will of life, not just business directed.
Yeah, prayer is big. We do going to church together does help because that kind of helps for the week. And then even when we start 4-on-1s on Monday morning at 8:30, we do pray before that as well.
So that goes off your question, Rebecca, about the team meeting. So every Monday morning at 8:30, we're in here, 30, 40 agents. And those that aren't able to make it, whether it be in appointments or whatnot, they'll actually send their 411s as accountability into our group. That way we all know, and it's speaking those goals into existence and letting everybody know. And it's cool because you'll have people say, yeah, I'm going to go door knocking on Tuesday and Thursday. And then someone else come up and say, hey, I remember Abraham said that you're going to go door knocking on Tuesday. I'd like to go with you. So that's another thing as well too. So it's not just a single person going, it's a group that goes together, and it just makes it more fun.
And Rebecca, to your question here, we do not have a lot of turnover.
That's awesome.
If somebody leaves the team, it's either because they're moving or they kind of have something else going on at home that they're not a culture fit.
Also on the meetings, so bi-weekly in the 1st and the 15th, kind of like you mentioned with the 15 protocol, the teams that have the agents that have a team within the team also meets for 30 minutes from 10:30 to 11. Like I mentioned, the 1st and the 15th, whether first week and the 3rd week, that way we can go over successes and failures and how we can help each other out with regards to our downline and our team members.
How many small teams are within the team? Do you know?
5.
5. Awesome. Okay, well, again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to chime in. We don't want to take them too far past 9:30 to respect their time. But if you were a new agent starting today, what's the best piece of advice you can give somebody?
Show up to the office daily, get with a small accountability group that's going to push you to script practice and actually do the actions. Getting productivity coaching in your market center. Don't spend money, lead with revenue. So don't spend money on things that are shiny objects like Zillow or anything like that. Focus on people, because I know in the beginning it's easy to come from you might be in a different situation where you're like, I need the money. You just focus on people. When you focus on people, the money will come. When you focus on money, the money never comes. So when that's your goal is to continue to help serve and not sell, your business will skyrocket and stay grounded.
Going back to grounding with Patrick. So same thing that Scott mentioned too. And as I always tell everybody, when I'm leaving the office or a conversation towards afternoons, I always say, see you in the morning, because that sets in expectations that I'm going to see them in the morning at the office at 8:30. And also another thing is feeding into your sphere of influence, the people that you already know, love, and they know you, they want to help you be successful. There's another thing I was going to mention. And finding your passion, finding your niche, and helping implement that passion that you have into real estate. As I mentioned before, I've always had a passion for dressing up in fashion. So I implemented that. Now I can do that on a daily basis and still be able to help produce for my family and the team. And don't recreate the wheel, because it's already set in place. So if you haven't read the MREA, read it. If you have read it again. And then you can read the one thing, which a lot of our new agents will have them read one or the other, and then continue to do that. We also have reading accountability groups. Right now, we're going to focus on reading Extreme Ownership, and that's going to start. It has already started for some. However, the book club is actually going to form. That way, everybody kind of has a set task, and putting a date behind everything that you set, whatever goals that you have, because if there's no date, then it's going to continue on and lead into a dead end. So putting a date behind everything that you set as a goal.
Patrick, you have a question?
I do. 1 second. It's like right when my 3-year-old came in the room.
Oh, you're good.
I'm back in a minute. Okay. Yeah. So what's up, Jevy? Good to see you, man. Love having you on these. It's been good. I got to meet you, I think 2 months ago when I was the speaker. And Scott, excited to hear from you. One thing I noticed, Scott, this is just a random question. Behind your head, I saw this book, Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss. And I was just curious, man. So I got this from Ken Posick. He mailed it to me, and it's been an awesome book for me, but I haven't flipped through it in a few years. And so that inspired me. I kind of need something like a new book to read to get me going, just set my perspective in the morning. Is there like a trick or a hack or even just an inspiration from that book that you got as something that carries with you?
My thing is to read two a day when it comes to Tribe to Mentors. Ken and me have the same coach. So Jordan Freed coaches Ken and myself. So I've done masterminds in Dallas and where we did the other one. I've done 2 masterminds with Ken where it's a small group. This book in the mornings. Make Your Bed is a good one to start, kind of as far as a mindset for mornings and Miracle Morning. So, but Tribe for Mentors is just so much. That's probably one of the best books to read. Period. You should read it or take some time to it.
Toy Box Leadership is also a good book, which Scott gave to me. And it's cool because growing up, it speaks on toys that I actually grew up playing with. So it really helps me stay engaged and very intrigued by it. From, say, Legos, like are they in the right spot? Do they make the right one? Maybe that Lego is not in the right place. And then it goes to the Green Army men and the soldiers, and it goes to the Slinky Dog. So that's a really good one too, that I would suggest. Toy Box Leadership, regardless of what point of your career you're in.
Yeah, Tribe for Mentors. Tribe for Mentors is a book that everybody should get. The Toy Box Leadership is big. 12-week year is a good one. It kind of gets you a little bit more focused on the quarter. It was 12 weeks, so that's a good book to focus on too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you both try and read like a book or 2 books a month?
There's no try. We do focus on a book.
Got it. Awesome. Steven, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to ask Scott. I know you said in the beginning you were doing Ignite and you went to coaching right away, but like your source of business, it sounded like you were just hustling. And that's similar for me. But before, like, the revenue was there to have, all of the leverage past the coaching, or maybe you had leverage right away. But what were you doing to stay in contact with all the new contacts before you had the systems in place? And I guess you sold so much, maybe that kind of happened quicker. But before all of the business, were you doing like a monthly text or email newsletter, or how was your?
I didn't have a system. It was more of I continued to follow up daily, which was my system, I guess. Yeah, I didn't have it in the CRM correctly at that time. It was about 7th or 8th month where I was like, I'm kind of just, have you heard that story about the guy with the bucket compared to the guy that created the pipeline?
Right.
I was more just doing the buckets every day compared to actually creating the pipeline that's going to feed the village. So what I did, though, I teamed up with 2 other agents in our market center, and I used Cole Realty resources. Cole Realty will pick up any phone number, any part of it picks up every neighborhood's phone number. And I started an accountability group with the people that I had got close with in my Ignite. Now, our market center is a big market center. We have 1,200 agents in our market center now. So our Ignite usually is around 30 to 40 people. So out of those 30 and 40, there was about 5 people that were dedicated to say, hey, I'm going to show up. So we went in on cold. And as the months went on, I would continue to find different people that were in Ignite. And I would text every night before to about 80 people and say, hey, tomorrow we're going to be making calls. Is there a certain address you want to call around? I'll print the phone numbers and we'll meet you at the office. So I would text 80, 20 would text back, 10 would show up. I would print the phone numbers. Jevs was there. 10 would show up. And when the 10 would show up, those that made me accountable to showing up, because I knew those 10 people were going to be at the office at 8 o'clock to do script practice, and then 8:30 to make calls. If they were relying on me to bring the phone numbers because I was the one that was printing them. So that was one thing I got in high accountability with. And then also with door knocking, I would text a group of people and say, hey, we're going to go door knocking between 12 and 3. We're going to run CMAs before at 11, print them, and then take them down there. We meet me at the office, and I would have 3 or 4 that say, yeah, we're going to go do it. I would show up because I knew that they were counting on me. So having that accountability group, yet also taking leadership in that accountability group and ownership to say, hey, they're relying on me to be there. And that's one thing about starting a team too. Once you start a team, it's no longer about you, it's about them. And it's figuring out, what's important to them. So now I have to show up for the team, because if I don't show up, it shows them that it's not important for them to show up either. Because if I was just absent every day, they were like, why do I got to go to the office? Scott doesn't go to the office, or Jeff doesn't go to the office. The people that have been on the team don't take it important. So why would I do that? Even bold, like I'm in bold right now. And this is my 15th time taking bold. And you learn in bold that no man or woman stands in the same river twice. So who I am today is not who I was 5 years ago. Yet, if I don't show up to bold every week, the agents that we put inside of bold are going to be like, if it's not important to him, why should this be important to me? And I love watching people have breakthroughs too. So when they're in the room and I see an agent on a team stand up and they had a breakthrough, I'm like, that's why we do what we do. So that's kind of what in the beginning was just accountability.
Awesome. Do you have a minimum standard for your team as far as lead gen? Becca asks.
We do. So they should have 20 voice to voice Monday through Friday. We do have a lead tracker that we're implementing now to be able to see exactly where people are. And that way we know if they're behind, if they're ahead. And by the numbers, we'll be able to know if they have a script issue or if they have a contact issue.
Awesome.
8:30 over here. We've been rocking and rolling since 7:30 in the morning because we're Central Time.
I know. Thank you for that. Y'all are an hour behind. So thank you so much for showing up. Anybody else have any last minute questions?
Darnell?
Well, thank you so much.
I definitely have questions, but I will reach out to Jevs because I was late.
Sound like you're just waking up, brother. MIA don't sleep.
Yeah, cafecito, Darnell.
I do need a cafecito. I definitely do. Kevin, I'm gonna go get one from you in the office.
All right, I'll meet you there. We'll do it.
Thank you.
We're in the same market center.
Right on. We'll come visit y'all sometime.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
let's do it.
I am ready.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you again.
If
Thank
you
y'all.
need awesome agents in San Antonio, you know who they are.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. I took a whole page of notes.
I know, me too. Y'all are awesome. So
Thank
much
you.
fun.
Have a good one.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day, y'all.
Thank you. God bless. Have a great one.
You too.